So glad you can be tuning into this for a few minutes today here on this Wednesday, right in the middle of the work week. And today I'd like to look at one of the most sobering passages in all of Scripture, and yet it's a real encouragement to believers. It's also something that ought to sober us and challenge us. In Revelation chapter 20, we have what occurs after the second coming of Jesus Christ. And we have Satan put in the bottomless pit, and for 1,000 years, Jesus reigns. And then, after the 1,000 years is over, Satan is let loose. And I personally believe the reason for that is that all the people born during the millennium will have to make their own decision to receive Christ and not follow Satan. We have a will. Now, all the people that begin the millennium will all be believers. And so all the initial parents will be Christians. But those who are born during this time will have to choose whether to accept Christ or to follow they're still fallen and their fallen nature and go after Satan. And it's very, very sobering. We read in verse 7, "And when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea." Folks, imagine that. Perfect kingdom. Absolutely perfect ruler, Jesus Christ. Perfect love. Every need is met. There's no heartache during this time as far as what's allowed. It is just a glorious time. But when Satan is loosed, it shows you the depth of our depravity. That a number of people, as the sand of the sea, will follow Satan. And they'll gather together to battle. And it's so tragic. We read in verse 9, "And they went up on the breadth of the earth, and compassed the camp of the saints about, and the beloved city. And fire came down from God out of heaven and devoured them." God doesn't even take any time with this. Those that make the choice are destroyed. They head to the great white throne judgment. Satan heads toward the lake of fire. But it shows you two things. Number one, we ought not be thrown at the increasing evidence of the depravity of man. You cannot fix up mankind. We are depraved, we're rebels against God, and when given vent to our own feelings, it's tragic. And Satan is very powerful. But the second thing is, even this, God has the power to solve it. In a moment, Satan's destroyed, the lost are destroyed. That shows you what God could do right now. That's how powerful he is. We need to be sober. Folks, we're in a battle for the souls of mankind. If we're saved, we ought to just rejoice that God delivered us from ourselves, that we have salvation. So let's don't get discouraged. We're in a battle for Christ. God's going to win. It's already clear. And we are going to get to be part of seeing God work in a mighty way. But let's right now realize that there are precious souls that need to be reached. And let's not get discouraged, for Jesus Christ is the victor.